In 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 7, Paul gives us a definition of what agape is. When you look at verse 7 in that chapter, Paul tells us that agape does four things. Love beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. It would be well worth your time to take a look at each one of those four things that agape does, but I want to talk to you about the first. Love beareth all things. In the Greek, the word beareth means to cover over with silence. Agape covers over with silence. There's a story in the Old Testament that illustrates this in Genesis chapter 9 that I wanted to take a quick look at here. Genesis chapter 9 and in verse 20, the Bible says this: "And Noah began to be an husbandman and planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brethren without." When Ham saw the nakedness of his father, Noah, what was the first thing that the Bible told us that he did? The Bible says the first thing that Ham did is he went and he told his brethren what he saw, his two brothers. Now I want you to notice what it says in the next verse, verse 23. Notice what Shem and Japheth did when they found this out. "And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon their shoulders, and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backwards, and they saw not their father's nakedness." The Bible tells us that Shem and Japheth, when they heard about the sin of their father, the first thing that they did is they went and they covered over the nakedness or the fault of their father. This is a characteristic of agape, according to Paul. Agape, as he said, covers over with silence. When you hear a fault in somebody else's character, what's the first thing that you think about doing? Do you first think about being like Ham and telling other people about somebody else's fault? Or are you like Shem and Japheth? When you hear about somebody's character defects, you cover them over with silence. I like the way Charles Spurgeon puts it. He says that love stands in the presence of a fault with a finger to its lip. Let's be more like Shem and Japheth when we hear about the faults of others. Let's be more like Jesus. Let's have agape in our heart and cover over with silence the faults of others.